My name is Richard Gwin. I'm the senior staff photographer at the Lawrence Journal-World. I've been taking photographs for the paper for some 38 years. These are some of my favorites of 2014. A young lady pulls a net off grapes at the Davenport Orchard near Eudora, Kansas. Cruising Massachusetts one late afternoon, I find a gentleman in South Park. I look because he's scurrying around. I first drone. I really like shooting people enjoying the sunflowers at the Ted Winter sunflower patch near Tonganoxie. Some things can be as simple as a lady hanging or laundry on a clothesline, getting down low and making it look like it's all floating in the sky. One morning I'm coming into town and I see a sign, circus school. I go into the building and a young lady and her mother are hanging from silk ropes from the ceiling. The mother's teaching physical therapy and exercise from a circus point of view. Cold days are often hard to find things, so you have to dot inside and look hard. One day I find a lady floating, doing her exercise in the lanes at the city pool at Free State High School. The lines, I always enjoyed making things with lines because I grew up with an art background. From a gentleman walking across a beam using the lines of the structure to make a photograph. One day I go out to a dog care place and members of the Lawrence High Orchestra were giving a Valentine's serenade to the owner of Paw Wash, Amber Nickel, and her dog Hercules. I'm out at Clinton Lake one afternoon. I see a guy in a canoe and I think, there's a nice photograph. I need to hop out and walk around the corner and spend a little time hopping water and creeks. And I go around the corner and I see this big white thing jump into the air, and it's a gentleman fishing with a net. Made a nice photograph with a long lens. I get an assignment one day to go to a daycare facility in North Lawrence, and I hear about a small pony coming. I park in the parking lot and I watch a van pull up and a little ramp come out, and a small pony about 3 feet high come walking out with a lady. They're both really small, and they walk into this facility, and a group of people are sitting around, and their faces really light up when this pony comes into the room. It really is something that's making their day. This lady walks the pony around to these people, and this pony all of a sudden nudges closer to this gentleman, and the gentleman gives the pony a little kiss. These kind of things make your day. Who doesn't like the Douglas County Fair? I've been doing this so long. Now I'm shooting kids that I shot 30 years ago. Their kids doing things like the pedal pull on Saturday morning, along with showing goats, and a young lady that gives a kiss to her turtle after the turtle race. On to the McLeod threshing bee. Old power is a real interesting thing to look at. Things that thrashed wheat and cut lumber. Everybody really needs to go and get an eyeful of what happened years ago. The Republicans were celebrating their win at the Overland Park Marriott as Kansas Governor Brownback and Senator Pat Roberts shake hands as Congressman Kevin Yoder watches on as they watch the results come in. Another gentleman I photograph often in town, Austin Turley, who has lived at 1501 Pennsylvania since he was 2 years old, and can tell wonderful stories about riding horses around the property and up and down the streets of East Lawrence. Another person who is sort of really dear to me, I've known him for years, Judge Michael Malone. He retired this year. The Douglas County Courthouse was filled with friends, and he gives a thumbs up to Robert Fairchild, who gave some really gracious comments about a wonderful man. Another story that I followed for some 26 years Harold and Alberto Leach sit in their kitchen with the picture of their son Randy on the kitchen table. Randy went to a party, never came home. They have sleepless nights, wondering where their son Randy is. Another thing that I'm really known for is shooting wildlife, from hummingbirds on my front porch to a field full of gulls one day north of town that was sort of like the birds. Eagles I followed for years. They come to the Kansas River now hunting fish. Their numbers are growing all the time. The last photograph is a photograph coming into town early one morning. I come over the railroad tracks and a railroad worker is sitting there in his truck having coffee and reading the paper, and the sun's coming up and throwing a glow across the field of soybeans as Mount Oread rises in the background. I thought they'd probably need a piece of wild art, so I got out and made about 4 frames. It became the most tweeted photograph for 2014.